about both the battles of Fredericksburg and Chancellorsville, and both of those were victories for the Confederacy. So now the year is 1863, it's spring heading into summer. So at this point of the war, just want you to remember everything we went over in class, in the last few classes. So how is each side faring in the war? So I'll just write on the board for each side, so north and south. So how do you think we're doing at this point, based on your readings and what you know?
Well, the South has already won twice.
Yeah. So the South is victories. So how do you think the people are feeling in the South about that? Yeah. So victories, confidence. Michael?
The North was observing the victories of the South and feeling a little bit more vulnerable, maybe.
Okay. Good. Anything else you can add to that?
Because the North is not as victorious as the South, they might want to be amping up their resources.
Okay. So use more resources. Okay, so on the matter of resources, so we know the North is more industrialized than the South at this point, right? So how do you think, since the North has more resources, what do you think the South is aiming to do now? Since they have a big thing.
Oh, like attack their resources?
Yeah, so attack. Okay, so I think that's good. So since we talked about how both sides are feeling now, so it's 1863. Lee has just won a big victory, considered his finest victory at Chancellorsville. So what do you think Lee is aiming to do right now? What do you think his strategy would be? And what would you do if you were in his place? Michael?
He was trying to usurp the power of the North.
Right, okay, so let's say Lee usurp power more. Okay, so specifically what do you think he wants to do? Like, where do you think he wants to go?
He would probably keep pushing north.
Keep pushing north, right? Okay, so if he keeps pushing north, so what do you think he wants to do when he gets north?
He wants them to resist and then to pull out.
Yeah, so do you think he wants a battle, right? He wants to fight a battle. Okay, so we know, and of course, what ends up happening is Lee does invade the north, so is the second time he invades the north. First was the previous year where he gets pushed back in the Battle of Antietam. So he goes north, he heads into Pennsylvania. So let's evaluate for a second. So do you think this strategy of invading north, do you think this was an effective strategy? Was it a good idea? And if so, what were the risks and what were the rewards of this plan?
I guess the reward would have been like there was a possibility of winning the war, but like downside of it was we were going closer to like where they had the industrial city where they could manufacture all their weapons.
Okay,
and have them
right.
everywhere.
So, yeah, a victory. Yeah, the rewards are great, of course. A victory in the north, but yeah, it was closer than it was on northern soil. What do you think the fact that let's add more to the answer. What do you think the fact that the battle was in the north? How do you think that would affect the upcoming campaign?
I feel like the risks were greater because this is unfamiliar territory where the enemy is
Right.
much more, they can be much more strategic.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think fighting on your home ground does? What are the advantages of that?
You don't have to move your army so far.
Right, and you're closer to your own home. And what else is good about fighting on home ground?
You're more like familiar with the land.
Familiar, right. And of course, most of the previous battles was fought in the Southern Territory where the South is successful, where now the focus shifts.
No.
Nothing? Okay. So, we know that the risks and rewards of this plan. So if Lee, what do you think would happen if Lee won this battle? Let's head into speculative territory here.
I mean, we would have had two separate nations, the United States and the Confederate States.
Well, I'm talking about a more short-range effect.
Oh,
So,
okay.
what do you think would happen?
They probably would have taken over Philadelphia.
Yeah, very possibly. And what could that have led to?
And they gained northern resources.
Yeah, and then, so we know already the North is probably vulnerable, maybe feeling a little less kind of demoralized. So what do you think if they gained Philadelphia or won a huge battle on the northern side? What do you think that would do, possibly?
It would just break the Indian curve.
Yeah, and it could have ended the war, possibly. So that's why we know the upcoming battle is fought at Gettysburg. And this, because the stakes are very high, Lee is aiming for decisive victory. The North is trying to stop him and get a victory after many defeats. So we know this is why, of course, the Battle of Gettysburg is an important turning point in the war and in American history.